So I'm in a bit of a weird situation. My fiancé and I aren't the most traditional and wanted to have our wedding as more of a family vacation with the bonus of a wedding. My parents have a beautiful lakefront house that we decided to have our wedding at. When we were initially planning our wedding and figuring out dates, I wanted to have it on June 26th. The 26th was important to us because that's the day my fiancé and I first met, but when speaking it over to my family, my sister said no because she already had a vacation on that date. I was sad, but it wasn't the end of the world, so we decided on June 4th to June 9th. Everything was working out perfectly. I let both of our families know to put our wedding down for those dates and started wedding planning. It was all perfect until last night. I got a FaceTime from my dad who showed me the ultrasound and I was super excited. All of the congratulations, jumping around because I'm going to be an auntie. I'm so excited for them and for my future niece or nephew. But it all came crashing down when I asked my sister when she is due and she said May 1st, so we're going to have to talk about your wedding. I assumed she just meant that she wasn't going to be able to be in attendance. So I told them that it's okay, we can just FaceTime them in, and her jaw dropped. Then my mom said we can just push it back to September. I knew my emotions would get the best of me, so I said we can talk about it later, so we went back to congratulations and thinking of baby names. After the call, I can't lie, I had a bit of a breakdown. I already moved my dates once to accommodate my sister, which was all fine and I didn't push back on it. But after 7 months of planning our wedding around this date and having my fiancé family plan around it, I don't want to change it. Unfortunately, I know my family and they will push for me to move it and will disrespect my decision not to. I know traveling with a newborn baby is going to be hard, which is why I offer up FaceTiming her in, but it seems like that's offensive to them to not want my sister to be present at the wedding. I feel so insanely guilty about being upset over having to change my wedding dates because my sister is pregnant. She's bringing a beautiful new family member into our lives, but I'm still a bit heartbroken that if I don't change the wedding date that I will be seen as inconsiderate and an asshole in my family. So am I the asshole for not wanting to punch back my wedding because my sister is pregnant? Comments where Op has replied, commenter, NTA, I'd move it back to the 26th because that's the day that matters to you and your fiancé. Now she'll only want to go if she can bring the baby, or she'll probably try and get you to move it even further, saying so she's not traveling with a newborn. Obviously people are going to be upset no matter what you do or don't do, but all that really matters is you and your fiancé, because the moment y'all are married you're each other's main priorities and no one else should matter when it comes to what you both want. Oop, I'm very scared of that. Since she is going to be a first-time mama, we don't know if she's going to have PPD/PPA or if baby is going to have colic. I'm scared that if I do push back our wedding to August or September and then she still can't make it/wants us to push it back even further, I will resent and distance myself from her. I love my sister so much, but she is definitely the type of person where it is her way or the highway, and my parents just go with it because that's just how she is. Commenter, tell us why our sister is the golden child without saying it. Oop. My sister is the golden child of the family. It's not really a secret or try to be hidden. She's extremely involved in the family, visits them every weekend. While I live across the country, so I only visit them typically once a year, but do FaceTime them regularly. My parents are also very money driven, and my sister is a doctor in comparison to my brother and I who do trades. She's the definition of the perfect child. She also typically plans all trips, vacations, or outings for my family because she's extremely type A and likes to have control situations. She's a bit stubborn and likes things her way or not at all. We've always just gone with it because it's easier. I expected my wedding to be the line, but I guess not. Commenter, NTA, remind the family that it's not just your family that's being impacted by their push to move the dates, and that those specific dates are the only ones that work for both sides. Then tell them that no, you will not move the dates to accommodate your sister again, since you already did it once. Oop, I plan on speaking to them soon about it and putting my foot down on my date. I wanted to give it some time to let emotions settle because my parents did just find out that they're going to be grandparents for the first time and seem to want to protect and side with her. I also spoke to my brother about it and he is on my side. I asked him to be there during the conversation to try and explain things from my point of view if my emotions do get the best of me. Moving my wedding to September is out of the question because it won't work for my fiancé's family with school schedules, and they have already been planning around the current date. Update 1. So a lot has happened in the past few days. I called my brother the day after I made my post. He understood where I was coming from and told me that I should absolutely not change my wedding date. So since I was worried about speaking to my mom and being ganged up on, we planned on when to speak to my mom about not wanting to change my fiancé's and I's wedding dates so he could be there to talk to my mom on my behalf, and my emotions got the best of me. That didn't happen. My mom called me the next day to talk it over. I informed her that I was not going to change my wedding date and she was upset initially but surprisingly receptive to it. I was extremely happy about that until she said you need to talk to your sister about this because she's not going to be happy about being forced out 1 month postpartum. I explained I wasn't expecting / forcing her to be in attendance. Then my mom said no, she's coming to your wedding, I don't care if she's a new mom. After that I got in a bit of an argument with my mom about her forcing my sister to do something that isn't the best for her and her future family. Which I ended hanging up on her. I don't take being spoken to in a harsh tone easily and will tell the other person to take a minute to reevaluate their tone and come back. During the call she also let slip that she was also extremely disappointed in me for going to my brother for support instead of her and said I was just creating family drama for no reason. Which it is what it is, I needed a family perspective, which is why I called my brother. I ended up trying to call my sister the next day, which was declined. So I texted her and informed her that I would not be changing my wedding dates. It was a lot longer of a text, explains reasons and emotions. She replied, a day later, with you and I both know that your wedding dates aren't officially set and the only factor would be communicating the change to fiancé's family. I hope the hassle is worth having my and your literal niece or nephew's presence. I explained that I have already ordered / put money down on multiple things as well as having my fiancé's family planning / accommodating around this date for 7 months. She was not receptive in my opinion and said there are really no excuses. You have the power to move the date even just a little later in the summer to include me and you're choosing not to. That hurts. Which I ended up responding that I'm not choosing to not have her at my wedding but understand she may not be able to come and will have to FaceTime in instead. As well as explain that I already moved my wedding date once to accommodate her. I asked her to try to put herself in my shoes and how she would have felt if I asked to push back her wedding. Which she replied I would have moved my date in a heartbeat. That's the difference between us. At that point I decided to offer up pushing it back to the 26th of June as some comments said to see if she would still be going to her previously planned vacation. Which thank God I did because she told me she couldn't do the 26th as she's still going to go on her vacation 20 days after my wedding. I'm not the most knowledgeable about babies since I don't have one and have only known my BFF's baby, but I don't feel like there are a huge difference between traveling with a 1-month-old and a 1.5-month-old. So that solidified in my mind that she doesn't care about me / my fiancé or our feelings but still expects everyone to accommodate to her. At this point, as per my fiancé's advice, I'm putting it in the F it drawer in my head and I'm not going to stress about it anymore because everyone knows the date is set. If my family would like to show up to my wedding that would be amazing, but if not I'm not going to be upset. At the end of the day this will just show me who to prioritize as family in my life, because family is not always blood. Update 2. So this update is absolutely comical to me. As I said in my previous update, I stood strong and told my family I was planning on keeping my wedding dates. Which didn't go well, but at least I had my parents' support on it. Everything was as calm and relaxed as it could be. My sister hasn't talked to me since the conversation, but I figured she was just pissed off at me and dealing with everything involving pregnancy. But getting to the hilarious part of this update, 2 days ago we got a FaceTime from my fiancé's sister-in-law showing us 2 positive pregnancy tests. She's due first week of June, aka when our wedding is. My fiancé and I did all of the congratulations and excitement because once again first grandchild and baby in the family. After the call my fiancé and I just looked at each other and busted out laughing. Not only is my sister having the first grandbaby on my side, but his sister-in-law is having the first grandbaby on his side, all within the month before / during our wedding. Like, what are the chances? My fiancé and I have always had bad luck with planning things, aka why we're planning on a relaxed chill wedding instead of a big extravagant wedding. We had a few minutes convo and it ended up with us agreeing on, in my finances words, fuck this, let's just elope. So that's exactly what we're doing. Like I said, we aren't traditional and honestly we were just doing all of this for our families so they could feel included and have a fun time at the lake house. But with all the babies and 9 out of the 14 people who are invited not being able to attend, my sister and Bill, Hermil and Bill, my fiancé's mom, dad, and little sister, and his brother and Sil, why even have the whole wedding thing? So we're going to the courthouse on June 26th, the date that I originally wanted but wouldn't work with my sister's scheduled vacation to go get married. We're going to keep the photographer that we have a deposit down on and just switch from wedding photos to just a couple shoot. We're also still planning on going to the lake house and just take it as a pre-honeymoon. We've already let all of our family know the whole wedding thing is cancelled. My side is relieved and his side is sad because they don't have an opportunity to celebrate us as a couple. But it just wasn't what the universe wanted, and we'll plan something in the next couple of years to get our families all together and celebrate. Maybe one of our anniversary. Honestly, I can't even be upset because it's so comical that the one major event we've been planning on doesn't work because of everyone getting pregnant and being due around or during our wedding. But at the end of the day we're getting married and getting some adorable little nieces or nephews. This will be my last update because no more wedding means no more drama. Comments where Op has replied, commenter, I get why his brother and Sil can't attend, but why can't the rest of your fiancé's family members attend? Anyways, congrats. I told my BF I'm always down to elope cause a big wedding is more trouble than it's worth for me personally. Oop. I thought we were getting rid of the big wedding drama by just having our direct family plus 4 extras there, but it didn't work out that way. Still all the drama, so eloping is definitely the right option. Lol. The people that can't attend would be my sister and her husband. They're having a baby in May. It's their first child and it would be a 5-hour drive to get out to the lake house. My sister, mother-in-law and brother-in-law, my fiancé and I got close to them at my sister's wedding trip, week-long trip in Jamaica. Then my soon-to-be Bill and Sil, since they are having a baby during our used-to-be wedding dates. His mom, dad, and sister, because they would definitely want to at least be close to Bill and Sil while she's having the first grandbaby. The lake house is about a 19-hour drive from where they live. Commenter. Have a gathering at the lake house when both kids turn 1 year old. Oop, that's what we're thinking. Obviously we learned our lesson about planning stuff out in advance. But I think a combined 1-year anniversary and 2 1-year-olds birthday celebration would be adorable. Next story. Divorced my cheating husband at the age of 53. I finally started taking care of myself, but my adult kids are furious, saying I should have done it when it mattered. Hey, everyone. I, 53F, have been divorced from my ex-husband Larry, 54M, for 6 years. Larry and I have 2 adult children, Steve, 27M, and Carla, 25F. Larry and I met in college when we were both electrical engineering students. We were both very much on the nerdy side and looked the part, but were very attracted to each other, so I thought anyway. We got married soon after we graduated and both worked as engineers, but after a few years Larry decided he wanted to go to law school, to become a patent lawyer. In order to look the lawyer part, Larry underwent a major glow up during this time on pretty much all levels: tailored clothes, fancy haircuts, designer accessories like watches, etc., along with working out to trade his dad bod for a lean gym bod. During this time, I was raising our small children, while taking care of about 95% of household matters because of his long working hours, all while working full time. I admit I did not glow up along with Larry. My own appearance has always been on the plainer side. I'm not overweight but a bit stocky, 5 feet 5 inches / 140 pounds, simply cut hair, glasses, practical clothes, not much makeup. Larry loved me as is for about the first decade of our relationship, but after he started working as a lawyer, he started to become drawn to more conventionally attractive women and had several affairs. When I pressed for counseling, he said that the issues were things like my big nose and post-baby tummy pooch, not things I could fix with a simple makeover. I was getting organized to ask for a divorce when Carla was hit by a car while riding her bike. She survived and is fine now, but needed several years of intensive surgeries and rehab. In order to provide a unified front for Carla and Steve, Larry and I agreed to stay married and be as cordial as possible. He continued to see other women during this time, but by this time I was past trying to get him to be faithful. We did separate and divorce after Carla went off to college. Larry is remarried now to a much younger woman, 33F. In the past couple years, I have actually decided to focus more on myself, including my appearance. Now that my children are grown and out of the house, and I don't have to worry about tiptoeing around a difficult husband, I finally have time and resources to do so. I didn't get a nose job or other plastic surgery like Larry had wanted, but I did update and color my hair, started working out more, lost about 15 pounds, got a new wardrobe, and actually started dating. I don't have a steady partner yet, but regularly go to age-appropriate singles events and go on dates. Unfortunately, my children detest the new me. In particular, they blame me for the divorce and are angry that I didn't glow up to accommodate Larry, saying I was too selfish and lazy to do so when it mattered. My son Steve is getting married soon, and says he is too angry to invite me to the wedding. Carla has gone low contact with me. I had great relationships with both of them until I started my own glow-up process a couple years ago, which was a few years after Larry and I finalized our divorce. Steve and Carla have told me that the only way to fix this, the only thing that would be fair, is to go back to the way I was before, meaning stop coloring my hair, dress in my former plain/frumpy way, and stop dating. They say they are most upset about the dating and that it's not fair for me to be looking for a new partner. So, Ada, for everything I have done here, for not improving my appearance until after I got divorced? I really don't think Larry would have been faithful to me no matter how much I twisted myself in knots. I felt I did the best I could given the energy and resources I had, and, while it may seem selfish, I do believe I deserve to have my own life now. But I am open to other opinions if I have done something wrong here. Additional information from OOP to clarify some things. I appreciate your perspective, but I think there may be some unfair conclusions here. First, where did I ever say I had no sex drive? Our sex life was fantastic for the first decade of our relationship, including after having 2 kids. It only diminished after he decided he had other attraction preferences as he started to rise in the lawyer ranks at his firm. Next, where did I ever say I didn't maintain my appearance? I did, in fact, maintain the appearance I'd had since college. I said we were both on the nerdy side. I maintained a healthy weight, even after kids, and always looked tidy and appropriate for the occasion. In my case, the occasion just happened to be my engineering job and my family/household responsibilities. I just didn't have high-end haircuts and designer clothes, etc. Was I a bit frumpy? Probably, as compared to a big firm lawyer with a $500 haircut and regular spa treatments. But I didn't let myself go by changing my appearance for the worse after marriage. Also, I don't think it's fair to say that I didn't improve myself in any capacity during our marriage. I advanced significantly in my career while keeping a warm and loving home, cooking healthy meals, and otherwise raising our kids. Those were my priorities, especially after Carla's accident. I don't think I got what I had coming just for not wanting painful and time-consuming plastic surgery. Especially as one of the big things he wanted me to do was get a nose job when I was already perfectly happy with my nose. If he'd suggested some smaller changes, like updating my hairstyle and wardrobe or even a gym membership, and had broached the idea kindly and had given me time to do these things, I likely would have been more amenable. But as it was, he set the bar so high, surgery, that it didn't seem like I could reasonably make him happy. Update. First, thanks so much for everyone who responded to my initial post. I started out trying to acknowledge everyone's responses, but as they grew to the thousands I wasn't able to keep up. I'm so sorry. I did read everything and appreciate your time and thoughts, both for those who offered support and those who had more critical feedback. As a small update, while I do agree that the behavior of my adult children Steve, 27M, and Carla, 25F, has been extremely judgmental and unkind, to say the least, I am not ready to write them off. I realized that since they started in with their criticisms a couple years ago when I started changing my appearance, I've been very defensive and dismissive. Perhaps that is justified, but as I do want to make every effort to maintain a good relationship with my children, I decided that it would be best to listen with an open mind. This doesn't mean I'm going to go back to my old frumpy appearance to accommodate them, of course not, but just that I am open to hearing what is really bothering them so we can hopefully talk it out. When I contacted them both to request this, they agreed to have brunch with me this coming weekend, which is a good start. Perhaps the conversation won't change anything, but I'd always regret it if I didn't try, and listening is free. Many of the commenters felt that some info must have been missing from my initial post. I thought I hit all the main points, but can fill in a bit more detail here. For about the first decade of my relationship with my ex-husband Larry, things were really wonderful, or at least I thought so. As I mentioned, we met in college as electrical engineering students who both had fairly plain and unfashionable appearances by conventional. Honestly, as a nerdy woman I have always been much more attracted to nerdy-looking men than super polished ones, just a better match for me I guess. Larry seemed crazy about me from the get-go and I was equally crazy about him. We graduated, both got good engineering jobs, bought a house, and started our family. We had a very warm and loving home, lots of quality intimacy, and frequently hosted our equally nerdy friends for D&D and anime nights. Then Larry decided he wanted to go to law school. Nothing really changed for the first couple years, but the law school career counselors advised him to spruce up his appearance when it was time to start applying for attorney jobs. Hence his own glow-up began. Even after that, for his first couple years as a law firm associate, he jokingly referred to his new look as his silly lawyer costume and looked forward to coming him to change into his anime t-shirts. I didn't try to match his new appearance because, A, he never asked me to, and, B, initially it seemed like it was just some sort of uniform for him that he was somewhat uncomfortable with. However, this all changed abruptly one night when I was supposed to accompany him to an awards dinner for his firm. Knowing that it was a fancy thing, and that I wasn't the best with fashion, etc., I actually went and got my hair and makeup professionally done and worked with a personal shopper to select what I thought was a flattering dress and shoes appropriate for the occasion. However, when Larry saw me in this getup he suddenly got angry, made lipstick on a pig-type comments, and threw out the insults about my nose and post-baby tummy pooch. I learned shortly afterwards that he'd started an affair with a colleague, who happened to have a small, pert nose and flat stomach. Even after he was so mean, I was still hopeful that we could get counseling and work through this, but he didn't want to. I will admit I was paralyzed for a while and also didn't want to make any rash moves due to the impact on the kids, and perhaps I could have made better decisions there. But by the time I was actually ready, emotionally and logistically, to proceed with the divorce, Carla had her accident and I had to shift gears to prioritizing her recovery. On another note, contrary to what some commenters assumed, My post-divorce glow-up had nothing to do with wanting to meet new men. Initially, it was precipitated by having a work-related opportunity to do more high-profile client-facing activities, and I received some gentle guidance from my supervisor that it would be a great time to update my appearance, hence the new hairstyle, wardrobe, makeup, manicures, etc. In addition, once I hit 50 my A1C started creeping a bit higher, as diabetes runs in my family. Although at 5 feet 5 inches and 140 pounds I wasn't medically overweight, my doctor advised that losing just a few pounds, coupled with some dietary tweaks and changing up my exercise routine, would be a good idea. So I added yoga, Pilates and strength training to the hiking and cycling I already did, and ended up losing about 15 pounds over the course of a year. I'd always been physically active. Despite some commenters accusing me of being lazy, I just wasn't focused on sculpting my body to look a certain way as opposed to general fitness. Once I slimmed down and updated my look, I did find myself getting a lot more attention from men, so I figured since I'd been single for a few years I might as well lean into it and start dating, but again that wasn't the initial reason. Some commenters asked if I'd spent family money on my makeover and if that might be what was making my children upset. The answer to that is no. Larry and I divided our assets in the divorce. He got the big house we had lived in and paid me for my share, which allowed me to buy a much smaller house and have plenty left. Although, as a law firm partner, he makes about 10x what I do, I did not request any alimony beyond my 50% of our assets, which had all been accumulated during the marriage. Anyway, if folks are interested I can post an additional update next week once I can talk to my children and find out more about what their issue is.